Guys, I usually don't do videos like this, but I just wanted to let people know about a Costco scam. And I know I sound so stupid that I actually fell for this, but it's very elaborate. Let's get into it. So I get a call this morning at 7:46 from a Costco Brampton number. And I looked that up and it checked out. And I didn't pick it up because I usually don't pick up calls from numbers I don't recognize. It had the number, but not the actual caller ID. So it didn't say Costco. So that number called me 2 more times. I picked up on the 3rd time. I said, thinking I'm just going to brush this guy off. He tells me, hey, are you such and such? And they gave me a name. And it was actually my Chinese name, which was funny enough. The guy was speaking in Mandarin, by the way, the whole thing. He was giving me my Chinese name. I was like, okay. And then they said, you made an appointment with Costco to come and see a cuckoo rice cooker. And I'm thinking, no, I didn't. Don't know what you're talking about. And so he's like, oh, okay, well, let me check your account. And then he says, oh, by the way, you actually have a MasterCard with us. You actually opened a Costco International Business MasterCard. And me not being a Costco customer, I have no idea whether that was legit or not. So I'm like, okay. And he said, you made 2 purchases. This account was opened in February. You made 2 purchases since then. They itemized everything for me. They gave me all the details. February 12th, I made a purchase of an Apple MacBook Air and sent it to this address in Surrey, BC. And then on February 18th, I ordered a Samsung 24-inch dishwasher for $1,200. The other one was also $1,200, so it all came out to $2,400. I made a purchase of a dishwasher, and that was sent to Quebec. And I'm like, obviously, no idea what all these things are. And said, you know what? I don't know what happened. What is all of this? And he goes, well, let me talk to my supervisor, because this is kind of the first time I've ever come across this kind of situation. I'm like, all right, okay. And so he transfers me to someone by the name of Rita. And yeah, she continues to elaborate on this story. She gives me the full amounts of what is owing on my credit card, my purported credit card. She says I was on a 36-month installment plan that has never been paid. So now the account is delinquent. She said also that, you can check your credit report, but I don't think it's going to show up there because you opened the account in China. By the way, apparently this Costco account was opened in China on the Costco China site. So I'm thinking to myself, that could not be me. And then she goes, yeah, it may not appear on your credit card, but at some point you'll be on the hook for this money. So I'm like, oh, geez. And she said, did you leave your ID somewhere? Did you lose it? We had a customer, before and from India who left his IDs for different sellers when he was buying a car, and they all scanned his ID, and one of them, used it fraudulently and started making purchases and things like that. I'm like, oh wow, that's so scary. And I'm thinking we sat there for almost over an hour, and I'm here trying to think of any time where I would have submitted my ID. I mean, I'm sure there were countless times my IDs were scanned. There's so many verification apps these days. They have to take a picture of your ID to verify yourself. You have to take selfies. And I mean, there's so many, the myriad of them out there. I'm thinking to myself, there's no way. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be able to give you the name of any particular site right now off the top of my head. And then she also said, well, we opened this credit card under your name, and it was because you sent us your SIN, you sent us your IDs through your email address, which they had. They had my email address, they had my phone number. And I'm thinking to myself, I never sent an email. I mean, I went, and I was on this call, I went into my inbox and didn't see any Costco-related emails whatsoever, especially in my sent folder. Did not send an ID through my email whatsoever. And I asked her, can you can send me back that email. If it was me and you have my email address, you can send that email back to me. I want to take a look at it. And he's like, no, we can't do that. That's privacy. That's privacy issues. We can't do that. But we can send you something to verify that your email is just legit. And they actually sent me an email that had a verification code on it. I thought it was legit because it said no reply at Costco.ca. Here it is. I thought it was legit. I thought this was legit. So I'm like, oh damn, maybe these guys are real. And so finally, I was at a loss. I said, I can't tell you what happened with my ID. There was no way that anyone would have had their hands on it. And we just went back and forth for, I don't know, must have been an hour before she said, finally, I'm going to transfer you to my English speaking colleague, and, maybe they can give you some insight. So this guy, an English speaker, gives me the full name of the MasterCard, which later became, something that I was able to look up, gave me the MasterCard number, and just a few more details around that. And then what the process was, and what he said was, I've stopped the credit card so that no one can make any more payments on it, but it's going to go into our legal department, and then it's going to go into collections. And at that point, you're going to need some proof from the police to absolve you of this, because we need to have proof that this is not your account. So I'm like, oh, all right, okay, maybe I do need to call the police. And then he goes, yeah, let maybe transfer you back to Rita so that she can give you a certified write-up and that you can give to the police. To show them that, because you have nothing on hand right now. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's right. So we went back to Rita. By this time, my husband's in the room. We're speaking Chinese. She's speaking Chinese, so that's why I'm like, I'm all Chinese out. My Chinese is okay, but like after having done 2 hours of this, I was just done. So he had walked into the room and he was helping me sort of just talk with her and said like, oh, okay, we'll call the police. We'll get a case number, and we'll contact you to start an investigation. And she's like, all right. And I was like, can you leave me your number? And she left me a number, which I'll leave down here. And we called her immediately after that. No one picked up. And then so I ended up calling the police and telling them this whole little cockamamie story. And he's like, Jason, like, don't you think this is a little weird? Like, why would a Costco in Ontario, Brampton call you to look at a product and then proceed to tell you you have a credit card that's open, but then it's not going to show up on your credit report? So that doesn't add up, right? The whole thing just sounds very scammy to me. So he suggested that I go to Costco and check to see if I actually have a membership there. And he also suggested I check my credit report, which I immediately did, and there was nothing showing in there. My credit report's great. And so I called Costco because I wasn't about to step in there anytime soon. And then she said, well, we can't look up your phone number. We can't do that in the back office. But this sounds like a scam to us. And she said, as far as we know, there is no Costco Mastercard. So of course, at that point, I'm like Googling the name of this Mastercard, which is Costco International Business Mastercard. And I look it up, and sure enough, China does not have a Mastercard, at least not with this name, in China. So I'm thinking, oh my God, for 2.5 hours, I was on the phone going through this emotional roller coaster, thankfully not giving them any information. In fact, I don't think I gave them even my real name during that whole time in the call. Thankfully, I didn't volunteer any information. But damn, like I thought I was pretty savvy at this stuff, and I was roped into this whole story for a good minute, right? And so I just wanted to talk to all of you and just make sure, just don't freaking answer any. You know what? I usually don't answer any phone calls on the caller ID, like where it doesn't have a company name or anything like that. And I don't know why, for the life of me, this guy just kept calling me. So I thought, okay, all right. And yeah, damn. Okay, so I'm back. I realized I kind of forgot about something here. Here's what I think they were trying to get me to do. Now, I think that they were trying to get me to just, get so panic-stricken about the fact that I have this money owing and that it's due it's been, in collections for forever. They probably just wanted me to just give in and provide my banking information and just pay that outstanding balance outright, because they reiterated that my credit report would be affected. I would lose however many points. So I'm thinking, that was probably what they wanted me to do. I just thought it was kind of weird that they've eventually steered me towards calling the police, because that was actually that guy's suggestion, the MasterCard guy. He was the one telling me, maybe you should go to the police and file a report. Maybe he probably thought I wasn't going to do it, that he thought maybe I would be too chicken shit to actually go to the police, but I actually did, because I was like, okay, well, I'm not in the wrong here. So of course I'm going to call the police. And so at that point, I think that was when they transferred me back to Rita. And after that, she just kind of gave up. She was like, okay, okay, just call the police and call me back. I think she was kind of like playing along at that point. But yeah, I think what they were banking on was that I would just, give in and pay the $2,400 in full. So, but yeah, pretty elaborate. I mean, they managed to stay on the phone with me for like 4 hours to see if that would happen. So yeah, I mean, it's a patience game. So they're willing to wait as long as they need to in order to get your money. So yeah, here we go. Okay. So rather than just telling the story, I thought I should just point out some of the red flags that I came across throughout this whole thing. Stuff that you don't really well, I shouldn't say you don't, but I mean, I didn't really clue in, and you know, I feel stupid, guys. I really just I thought I was better than this, but clearly I'm not. So anyway, I wanted to talk about some of the red flags that, you know, that came up. The first thing was they didn't use my full name. They actually didn't use my legal name. They actually used my Chinese name, which was, like I said, did not appear in any of the documents anywhere. So that should have been the first red flag, because honestly, if you were to open an account, especially open up a MasterCard, you know, you need to have the legal name. So the fact that they didn't know it, and that when I asked for the cardholder name, they wouldn't tell it to me, you know, that was a red flag, because that leads into the second point. Everything I asked for, all the information they asked for, the excuse that they made was always that, oh, it's a privacy matter. I can't tell you that. It's all privacy. Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of explains itself. You know, I was asking for, you know, especially when they said, oh, you emailed us from your email account. You emailed your ID to us from your email inbox, which I have access to, by the way. Like, if you're on the phone talking to what's ostensibly the cardholder, why can't you email that stuff back? You can email me, right? You can clearly email me, because you know I'm the account holder. But obviously it makes me sound even more stupid, but here we go. The other red flag that I had to mention was the delinquent payments. So supposedly 3 months or whatever it was, I don't know, months and months delinquent on this payment of $2,500, I believe. So yeah, again, if I owed that much money and, you know, wasn't paying, I think I would have received an email or something in the mail, you know, or calls. I mean, some collector ought to be harassing me at this moment, right? Up until this point, I had not even a clue that I owed this much money. So yeah, that would have been a red flag in itself. Like, you know, why wasn't anyone looking for me? Oh, and the last thing, you know, when the first guy called me, he said, well, let me transfer you to my supervisor. Let me see if she's available. And it took 2 seconds for him to say, oh yeah, she's available. Here we go. Let me transfer you over. And then when she transferred me over to the MasterCard person, it's like, look, let me see if he's available. Oh yeah, he's available. Nobody is ever this available to take your call. Let me tell you something. Like, if I call a call center, trying to get a hold of a person, I mean, I'm usually on the phone for 40 minutes. But the fact that, you know, everyone was all of a sudden ready to take my call, yeah. So, but anyway, I just hope that is helpful for some people, because, you know, if I got this call and I'm just a nobody, I'm sure there are a ton of people out there getting these calls. So stay vigilant, guys. I honestly couldn't believe that I fell for this, you know, even for a second. So yeah. All right. Hope that helps. Bye.